we've set up the data in the form for adding a pick. We've created the form. We've moved the data over into the method that's going to store it in the database, and we're now ready to get into the world of databases. Now, at this point, let's put Facebook on hold. Let's put PHP and FBML on hold. We're now moving into the database world. We'll make certain that the database is set up properly, and then we will write the code on the Facebook application side that will store our data in the database. But for now, I'm going into the world of MySQL. As I mentioned, you can also use the Facebook Data Store API if it works for your particular application. You'll need MySQL or some other database of that nature if your application is going to need to share data outside the Facebook world with other applications, either in-house or on the web. So let's come back to the My Connection file that I showed you before, and this is the file that is called from config.php that has all the information for your database and that opens a connection for you to get to that database right at the beginning of your Facebook app. Now, the information that's in this file is the information that you need on MySQL query browser. You can also use command line interfaces, but the graphical user interfaces for MySQL, which are available on the major platforms, it's much easier to use. So what I'm going to do is to copy these settings and open your My Connection file, and the host name is going to be that URL, and then you need the username and the password. And of course, I'm making these up. The database name is not needed for this call to open the connection, and it's not needed for MySQL query browser, but you may need it for other purposes, and that's why I put it into the My Connection file. What I'm going to do now is to move from the sanitized version into a live version, and I'll resume once I have logged into the database because forgive me, I don't want to show you my password. I've now logged into the database, and I'm just going to walk you through a few basic commands to show you that I can access the database through MySQL query browser. And you should actually step through these commands the first time you log on just to verify that everything is working properly. The first command that I have to issue is the command to use the particular database that I want to use. And this is the name of the database, and I click Execute. And I look down here to see what the result is. An empty result set is fine for the use command because I don't expect to get any data back. I can now show the tables in that database, and here are the 3 tables that exist. I can show columns in picks in the database, and these are the columns that are in that table. I can also do a select statement. I can select everything, and let me limit that to 10 records. And there I have the first 10 records from that table. You can see I can scroll over here and look at the other information. Those are the basic commands that you use to access your database from MySQL query browser. You also may be accessing the database from PHP MyAdmin, which is provided on many shared servers, and even unshared servers may be installed there, so that you can log on with a browser and perform the same basic commands. Now, the SQL commands are always the same, but the one thing you have to worry about if you are building tables and building a database, the command to create a new database is often privileged. You don't have access to it. You may have to create a new database itself by using a special command from your internet service provider because you may be limited to the number of databases that you can create. But I've now got MySQL query browser installed. I'm accessing the database. Now we can go back to Facebook and continue with the code that will create a new record in the PICS table.